Okay, so this is going to be a short reply to Thunderfoot's video, A House Divided Against Itself, which to the original video that this is, I guess, referring to the video on the Good Shepherd, I left a comment stating that I disagreed with his reasoning in that video. But I think this video is far more significant, and I disagree with it far more profoundly than I did with the original Good Shepherd video. So first I want to talk about why I disagree with the original First Shepherd argument, which is that, so in this video, A House Divided, Thunderfoot gives more arguments for why he still supports his original position that the Good Shepherd is a negative argument because of the things that shepherds do to sheep, and suggests that his interpretation is as valid as any, since there are so many different interpretations of the Bible and Christians themselves cannot agree on interpretations for things in general. Which, I mean, just the last part, the fact that Christians cannot agree on interpretations, I think is a valid point, is an excellent point that most atheists like myself agree with perfectly, and I do think that is a very good argument against the validity of these holy texts, that there is no interpretation that satisfies a majority of of the faithful. But in regards to this specific passage, the Good Shepherd passage, it's clearly a metaphor. Why is it clearly a metaphor? Because read literally, what does it mean? It means that God is looking to, keep us as a herd, to shear us, and then to use our wool to make clothes, and to then slaughter us for meat that he can eat. I mean, no. So it's obviously not, a literal reading was never intended for this passage by the original authors. That much I think is clear, and unless you want to be intentionally disingenuously kind of hard-headed about it, you have to accept that this is not a passage to be taken literally. Then we come to the point of interpretation, which of course it's true to say that anything can be interpreted in a variety of ways, and this is obviously true for metaphors. But I mean, I'll have to do something crazy here and agree with Venomfang X when he was making the analogy of, oh, your smile is like the sun. That doesn't imply that your smile has the negative attributes of the sun, which is being able to kill you by being within a radius of thousands of kilometers of it because of its immense radiation and heat. That's not what you're saying with that metaphor. You're implying the positive aspect because the sun is beautiful and bright. And this Good Shepherd argument, read in context, it suggests that God is a shepherd in that he shows people the way and keeps them safe from harm. Now, it's true that shepherds do also have negative attributes when it relates to sheep, but neither I nor, as far as I know, any other interpretation of the Bible have ever read that passage to have those, to be referring to those negative attributes. Because it's also a matter of biblical consistency. I mean, God did make us for his own pleasure, which I think is a bit of a weird thing, but God does not rely on us in any way to harvest us because he's God. So I think it's a perfectly, I think to me the most valid interpretation of this metaphor is the way in which Christians usually interpret it, which is that it's God is trying to guide us. Now, do I think that's true? No. But I think that's an earnest interpretation of that passage. Now, another reason why I think this Good Shepherd thing is all a bit of a dead end is, I think that, as an atheist I can't agree with Thunderfoot's interpretation. I know theists won't, and I'll have to agree with the theists on that one. But the fact is there are so many passages in the Bible that are absurd and or horrific. I mean, you're talking about stoning children for being rude. You're talking about not allowing women to teach or have positions of authority. You're talking about condoning slavery. And yes, Christians will obviously try to defend on those points by reinterpreting. But in those instances, our interpretations are the literal ones. We are taking what's put there and we're saying that's a horrific thing. So we have all of those great passages in the Bible that we can focus on. I mean, what about, who was it, Lot, that got raped by his daughters after they intoxicated him? The guy that offered his daughters up for rape by a crowd of thugs? I mean, all of this stuff. We don't need the Good Shepherd. We have so many clear-cut cases that we can go with, and we have gone with. And I mean, I know Thunderfoot in two of his videos was going into depth with some biblical passages, pointing out some of the crazier things Jesus said, for example. And I thought those were really good videos, because those were incontestably, I mean, of course you can always contest, and Christians will try, but we were on the right side in those instances. Our interpretations were the rational, reasonable ones. And I don't think we can really defend the Good Shepherd argument. It's just, I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind, I think the first thing that comes to most people's minds, is the shepherd as a metaphor for guidance. So you're not going to go anywhere by trying to add other symbols from the shepherd that are not commonly accepted. I don't think so. But that's just to the Good Shepherd argument, which by itself I didn't really even make. I didn't make a video response. I left one comment. I didn't think that was such a big deal, because obviously you can interpret things the way you like, and people will disagree, and that's fine. One atheist had an argument and sees how it holds up with other atheists and with religious folks, and that's fine. But what I really have the problem with is this video now, A House Divided Against Itself, which is a video that seems to be suggesting some kind of Leninist concept of centralized democracy for atheism, which is a concept where all the people in that case was the party, here would be the atheist community, have kind of a vote on what we believe, and then the winning side portrays this as the atheist position, and there could be like dissension inside the atheist community, if there is such a thing, but then outside we would have this unified front. And even worse, I mean, I don't even know, I mean, obviously we're not going to be holding any votes, so maybe the suggestion here is that we should just agree with everything another atheist says, or we should agree with it based on how many subscribers that atheist has, how respected they currently are in the community. And whichever approach, whether it's the democratic centralism or some form of more authoritarian centralism, like some kind of meritocracy centralism, I fundamentally disagree with all of them. And Thunderfoot, in the first part of the video, mentions how that kind of centralism is disturbing in the religious community. I don't see at all that we should be emulating it. As a matter of fact, I think an attitude that is far better for us is the attitude as rationalists that we're holding right now, which is where if someone produces an argument that we fundamentally disagree with, then we will give a fair response, just like we would if someone from the opposing side gave an argument that we fundamentally disagree with. And we give reasoned argument for why we do, and we make that available for everyone to see, so that everyone can judge that this community, if there is such a thing as the atheist community, is in fact having a robust debate about things. And our position should not somehow, I think, be presented by certain leading lights of the movement as the atheist position. No, people can look at our individual opinions, and they can form an idea of where most of us stand on various issues. I think, in some way, I mean, the idea that we should somehow unify as one movement and have unified opinions, it's kind of disturbing to me. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, especially positive, if we try to do that. I mean, I think rather than not dividing the house, instead the house should be policing itself. We should be doing some housekeeping in terms of, not in terms of, ostracizing people and somehow kicking them out or something, but in terms of applying the same standard to people that fundamentally have similar views to ourselves, the same standard of rationality that we apply to people that have very different views to ourselves. I think that's the one thing that really is important about our movement. I mean, it's all well and good to say our goal is to make religion irrelevant in the world, but if we're going to do so at the cost of congealing around certain leadership figures or holy positions that we're just going to follow to defeat this perceived enemy, then that might be the way to justify the argument of some religious people who say that secular rationality would just result in a different ideological system replacing the ideological system of religion. Now, I think that's actually not true, and I think the robust debate that's been out there since the original Shepherd video and the great amount of dissent that has resulted from other atheists is an excellent thing, and it really shows that the community is very much engaged with these ideas and is really taking them seriously and isn't just yay saying to what someone proposes that has made a lot of good material in the past. And yeah, I mean, it's so. In closing, I mean, I don't want to be disparaging of Thunderfoot. I think a lot of the content that he's produced is excellent. The series on creationists, lots of those videos were some of my favorite videos that I've seen on YouTube. And as I said, the one discussing certain biblical passages and their weirdness and their inconsistency, that was again very good stuff. But I'm very much suspicious of any efforts to suggest that we should be becoming somehow unified under some sort of structure that seems ill-defined by this video, but this seems to mainly involve not criticizing points of view of people who we generally agree with to the extent that we criticize points of view of people that we disagree with. So that's just my 5 cents.